Hello everybody and welcome to the Love Team Time Trial Series Season 2 finale. Now we have two finals going off today, but all 8 teams will be running in time order. We'll do the splits later. The league finalists consist of NZ Bro 2 Meki, 3R True 2, OTR Blue and Team Viper. And the wildcard finalists consists of NZ Bro Beach Daz, Australia AB, West London VR1 and NZ Bro Neck Minute. Now, as I say, we'll send the teams off in reverse time order. It's a 4-way split again, which seems to be the most popular according to feedback I've received. And we'll do a 5, 10, 15 and 20 kilometre time splits. Now, hang around folks to the middle of the video after we've done the 20 kilometre time split, because we've got some really interesting stats for you. Okay, so into the first section, and we've got the first 4 teams up. Neck Minute, Team Viper, Australia AB and OTR Blue. Now, this was a very close affair for 3 of these 4 teams. The times will appear up on screen, so you'll be able to see the time splits. And as I say, I think there was only 4 seconds between Viper, Australia AB and OTR Blue. Sadly, Neck Minute were only able to field 3 riders. Here we go. OTR Blue coming in 7:05. Australia coming in 2 seconds later, 7:07. Team Viper 2 seconds later in 7:09. And Neck Minute, they're going to come in very shortly in 7:22. Now, as I say, Neck Minute at a disadvantage with 3 riders, as are Team Viper. But a big shout out to Team Viper, because as you'll see later in the video, they put in a stellar performance considering there are only 3 men. And when you see the breakdown of riders on the front, you'll be amazed at the performance that these riders put in. More about that later. As I say, Chris Little has put together some absolutely fabulous stats for us to have a look at later. But moving on to the top 4 teams, and we've got West London VR1, we've got Tumeki, 3R True 2 and NZ Bro Beach Daz, the wild cards. Now, obviously, as I say, we're running all of the teams together in time format, so we'll split out the league finalists and the wildcard finalists later on when we get to the 20 kilometre mark and we do the stats. And then obviously we'll have the 1 kilometre final, all 8 teams going individually. So we got 6:42 from Beach Daz, 6:45 from Tumeki, 6:49 from True 2 and 7:05 from Team VR1, West London. So a pretty close affair at the 5 kilometre mark, but you see that the gaps start to grow as we get into the 10, 15. And in fact, as you'll see from the data that we've got for you, we do get some changes around as well in the running order. Now, what we've done in these segments is we've given like 1.5 minutes to each team to complete their section. So we're on to the 10 kilometers and back to the last 4 teams. Now, you can see in this video that West London VR1 dropped a place. As I say, you'll see that when we show the data, but VR1 dropped a place, in this case, into, I think, 5th place. We've got Team Viper, we've got Neck Minute, and we've got Australia AB making up these 4 teams. Now, you can see that West London came in 14-16, just ahead of Team Viper, of Australia AB in 14-18, and Team Viper 14-26. So very little space between the three teams here, with Neck Minute coming in a little bit later. There we go, 14-43. So pretty close at this point, but if you can remember, West London have dropped down into these four, as opposed to the first time at 5 kilometres, they were in the top four. Now we'll see the top four in a moment. Here we go. So OTR Blue have moved up. 3R True 2, NZ Bro 2 Meki, and NZ Bro Beached As. Now we had pretty close times at the 5 kilometre, but you will see that the gaps start to pull out the further we get into the race. So Beached As have come in 13:20, and 8 seconds later Tumeki have come in. 4 seconds after that, True 2 coming in, so that's pretty close with Tumeki, and that's a battle which I'm looking forward to. And then OTR Blue bringing up the fourth of these teams. Now they're a good way behind, but you have to remember they were in 5th place. They've climbed up to 4th spot. So pretty good riding here from OTR Blue. We're down to 4 riders at the moment. There we go, 14:14 for OTR Blue. So a good way behind at this point. Let's see if they can pull back some of that distance as they find their feet. So we're on to the 15 kilometre split. And again, the last 4 teams: Neck Minute, Team Viper, West London VR1, and Australia AB. And as I say, you'll see from the data graphs we're going to show you, there's changes around in the running orders here. Pretty interesting. And you really see that in the data that Chris Little has put forward for me. So don't miss that. It comes immediately after we've done the 20 kilometre splits. So who's going to cross the line first here? Australia AB. So there you can see a change around. And then we've got West London VR1, 21:36. So West London VR1 have lost another spot. Viper come in 21:46. So they're going to give West London VR team a run as well. And then Neck Minute obviously will be bringing up the rear. I have to say, on this particular occasion, Neck Minute was struggling slightly. They were never really in it with a 22:07. But really good racing from the teams here. As I say, 2 individual competitions going off, the league finalists and the wildcard. Again, I'll run through the teams a bit later in the broadcast. So we're on to the top 4: OTR Blue, 3R True 2, Tumeki, and Beached As. And this is a really fascinating contest between 2 of these teams. And I'm not going to spoil the action for you, but you see as the teams pull up on screen which 2 are really fighting it out in this 4-way head-to-head. Now 19:57 for Beached As. So they're pulling out a good lead in the wildcard final. 21:26 for OTR Blue. Now I swapped the time around here just so that all the teams would finish in and around the 1.5 minutes. But 20:17 for Tumeki. So what we got, a 20-second gap between Beach Daz and Tumeki, and only 4 seconds further behind True 2. So True 2 are really closing up on Tumeki. 4 seconds now, the gap. Can they overhaul them? That's the big question. 20-kilometer split. This is really interesting and exciting. So we're back to the same four we saw earlier. Neck Minute, Team Viper, West London VR and Australia AB. But as I say, there's a bit of a swap around in the placings. $28.40 from Australia AB, who really have done particularly well in the wildcard final. I mean, they're not going to challenge Beach Daz, but they're certainly doing well. 28.56 for Team Viper, 28.52 for West London. So just pipping Team Viper by 4 seconds. Can Team Viper catch them? There's an interesting one for you. We've only 4 kilometres left to ride. It'll be an interesting battle. Can they turn over a 4-second deficit, Team Viper? And obviously, as I say, Neck Minute with a 29.29 are out of it in terms of battling for the wildcard final. Okay, so next up, folks, we've got the top four. And this is the 20-kilometre split. OTR Blue, Tumeki, True 2 and Beach Daz. Now, you've probably guessed from the change around in the windows, we've also seen a change around in the data. So keep an eye on the times that pop up here, because this is pretty interesting and also, for me, pretty exciting. When I watched this live, I was really cheering on my ex-team here. So I shouldn't have favourites. But 26-27 for Beach Daz. So they've pulled out a significant lead now at the 20-kilometre mark. And there's no way they're going to be closed up. So they're going to take the wildcard finalist unless something dramatic happens in the last few kilometres. But 26.56 from True 2 and 27.02, so 6 seconds behind. So if you do the math, you'll see that 3R True 2 have pulled out 10 seconds on Tumeki. What a fantastic ride. And a 28.38 from OTR Blue, who are a little bit out of this battle for the places here. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, big thanks go out to Chris Little for sending in the data, charts, graphs and statistics, which we're going to look at now, because they really do offer an amazing view of what happened in the race. This first one coming up, I've managed to sort of like do a recording of this Facebook graph, and here we go. And this is like a live chart showing the race and showing the places. And you can see Australia and AB and OTR Blue swap places there. Australia AB came from like in 7th place. West London and OTR Blue swap places. So OTR Blue overtook West London 1. Australia AB, look, gaining a place here. West London dropping a place. Amazing stats this, but watch what happens as we come into the 20-kilometre split. And this, there you go, 3R True 2, trying to match Tumeki and then eventually overhauling them. And Australia AB, fabulous ride climbing into 4th place. Now I'll leave this graph on screen in a moment. You'll see it'll swap over, and I've done a still shot of it for you so that you can just take this in. So there you can see that in third place 3R True 2 right up until the 17.3, I think it was, kilometre mark. Then they caught up with NZ Bro, slipped down again, but then overtook. Then we have OTR Blue. Now they dropped all the way down to 6th, climbed back up. Anyway, you can stop the video and have a look at that data, but absolutely amazing. But even more amazing for me is this graph showing time on front. And if you look at the two teams with only 3 riders, you can see Christopher O'Hearn put in a 17:05 minute stint on the front of his team. And Armishaw put on a 14-minute. Here we go. Armishaw did 41% on the front, with Hans and Boniface sharing the rest of the work. O'Hearn put in 50% of the work of his team, with Harding and Little making up the rest. Amazing stats there. I'm going to send some more data to Chris so that he can give me some more of these charts. Now this is a 6-man team, so you can see here this is pretty good. This team shared the drafting pretty well. West London VR, and this is the scrap they had with Team Viper. Now all these graphs, folks, you can stop the video later on, not now, but stop the video later on and go back and have a look at these graphs. But this makes for interesting reading. The longest individual pull on the front was JR from 3R True 2, who put in an absolutely amazing something like 3 minutes at over 5 watt kilos. Okay, the most time overall on the front was Chris O'Hearn. Australia AB, the most uniform team. And then we've got a breakdown of who did most of the work. But this is the time on the front. This is the graph form of that breakdown that you've just seen. Again, as I say, I'm not leaving them on screen too long. You can always stop the videos and come back and have a look at this data. But I think it's fabulous. And me and Chris Little, we're going to work together, and I'm hoping to put forward graphs like this for the rest of the series when we get into season 3. So we're into the final kilometre, folks. Now what I've done here is I've put off teams in reverse time order, but individually, because I thought they deserved this last kilometre, not as a 4-way split, but as an individual team. Now we can see next minute, they did an amazing ride considering they were down to 3 riders. So under the 1 kilometre to go kite, still together. Yes, a bit of a gap here, but he'll close up with Hans and get on the wheels of Boniface and Armishaw. Now, as I say, moving forward into season 3, I will change the format of the videos, and we will spend more time going through the riders, going through the teams. We'll spend more time showing individual teams as we are doing here in the final kilometre, as opposed to the 4-way splits. And the videos will probably end up being that little bit longer because of that. This video is 30 minutes because I stuck in that extra data, and 30 minutes is about the sweet spot, I think. I don't think you want to have videos too much longer than that. So a small gap here, but Hans goes red to close it up, get on the wheels, and then they're coming into the last 350 metres. And I believe they all cross the line together. So although they were the last team to come in, I think NetMinute have really given us a good value for money in the wildcard final. They were the last of the 4 wildcard finalists. So they came in 4th place in the wildcard final. I'll call out the other teams as we go through. So who have we got up next? Team Viper. Okay, so Team Viper were the fourth placed in the league finalists. So you've seen the wildcard finalists, fourth place, Neck Minute. This is the fourth place going under the banner now. Chris O'Hearn, Chris Little, and Byron Harding. Absolutely amazing riding from this team. I'm just so impressed the fact that they were down to 3 riders. When you go back and look at that data, folks, and look at how much work Chris had to put in on the front, if they'd been a 6-man team, I seriously think, I mean, this is a league finalist final, and they came in 4th place, which doesn't do them justice at all. And that's no disservice to the other 3 teams, but it doesn't really do them justice, because I think with a 6-man team, they would have been higher up in this final with such strong riders. But apparently some of the riders had illness, and so we only had 3 on the line. I mean, Chris O'Hearn put in absolutely 50% of all the riding of this team, which is absolutely stunning. It's no wonder he's tired here at the end, hanging back. Poor lad, his legs must be ripped to shreds, but there they go, over the line. Now, obviously, you can catch up with the times, 34:21 for Team Viper, but you can see them on screen. So if I fail to call out the times, they're there on screen for you. So they were in 4th place. Now, West London VR1. Again, these are the wildcard finalists. This is 3rd place in the wildcard final. So West London VR took 3rd spot, just ahead of Neck Minute. They managed to stay together. They had 6 starters. They managed to stay together, and I think they had all 4 of these riders going over the line together. One of the riders that has really impressed me that I've seen, I mean, I came into this series pretty late, but as far as West London are concerned, Stu Thorne has really, really impressed, and I look forward to seeing him in future events. I think he's got a big engine. He came back from over a kilometre down in one of the runs when he got dropped. I think he had a drop out and came back from over a kilometre off the pace, which is pretty amazing. No, these 3 have broken clear of Dickinson. So these 3 are going to hit the line together. 100 metres to go, just over. Around the final bend. And this is the good finish. So they take 3rd place in the wildcard finalist. OTR Blue. Now OTR Blue take 3rd place in the league final. But they ran some of the other teams pretty close during this racing. 4 riders going to the finish. Gordon Jackson, Peter Austin, Kevin Barclay, and James Ogilvie, the team captain. Now, I listened into the audio of this team once again. They use team audio to communicate, and it really does do a good job, because you can see how they swap over. And in fact, if Chris, well, I know he will watch this video, so he will be listening to me. I wouldn't mind, Chris, you know, like the breakdown you did for the other team, I wouldn't mind seeing the breakdown of time between the riders on the front for OTR Blue. So maybe I'll send you some extra data. I'm not so sure whether Gordon gets dropped here or whether he manages. No, he gets dropped here. He can't hold the wheel. So these 3 take it to the line. which is a standard tactic with only 150 meters to go. Only 3 riders count, remember, over the line. So as long as you've got the 3 all together, and they're coming in with a 34.01 time on the 3rd rider, as you saw there. So that's 3rd place in the league final. Okay, so we're back to the wildcard final, and this is the 2nd place team, RGT Australia AB, just about to go under the Flamme Rouge. And you saw from the data that Chris Little gave me that we put up on screen, RGT Australia, probably one of the rides of the day. Not the ride of the day. That goes to a team coming up in a moment. But certainly right up there with them. I mean, an amazing ride. They were down, I think, were they down in 7th at one point? And they climbed all the way up. Fabulous ride from this team. Very, very impressive. Especially when you consider that I think it was Grantham and Lilburn were dropped right very, very early on in the ride. So these 4 riders have more or less been riding together for the team. The other 2 riders were dropped very early on. So 350 meters to go, and they're still all together. And my guess is they'll cross the line together because they've really ridden well. I've watched the whole video, and this team really rode well together as a unit. And that was borne out when you look at the data breakdown of riders doing turns on the front. So here we go, crossing the line together, 33.45 for Australia AB. And that gives them 2nd place in the wildcard final. So, now this is a strange one because we've got NZ Bro 2 Meki coming in here in the league finalists. Now they take 2nd place. In the league final. Again, a good run from this team, considering 4 riders. You can see that the 3 have split off the front now and left Osborne behind. I watched this race and Osborne wasn't able to maintain the pace with these riders, so he let the 3 of them go off the front. But they stay together nicely, coming in nice and tightly packed towards the line. I mean, the fight between Tumeki and 3R True 2 for me this week was amazing. Very close, swapped around a couple of times. They even matched each other at a certain point on the road. But True 2 just overhauled them in the last few kilometres. So here they are coming in, altogether at the finish in 32.10. Now we'll check out True 2's time, but 32.10 for Tumeki, and that gave them 2nd place in the league final. And here for me is the team of the day. I mean, they overhauled a 10-second deficit to Tumeki and turned it into a positive. Here they go under the 1 kilometre to go banner. Let's see what time we get. Absolutely amazing ride from this team. Now again, I watched the full video and the majority of the team stayed together, but obviously they've left the 3 strongest riders to go to the finish. So Rasmussen has gone off the back, Shearer, Andy Widders has gone off the back as well earlier on in the ride. But there was good communication between this team. Again, I listened to the audio of this race. So 32:10 was the time to beat, and they're going to do that fairly easily, I would say. I mean, a huge effort from them in this last 4 kilometers. They really turned it around from the 20-kilometer mark. So 31:50 for True 2. So in the last 4 kilometers, they've really turned around or turned over to Meki to win the league final. And here we go. Now we're looking at Beach Stars, who, yes, had the fastest time overall, but they were the wildcard finalists and not in the league final. Now, what I will say here is Beach Stars, you really need to put in a team for the league finals. You can't just rock up and take part in the wildcard finals at the very death. It's just, I don't think it's fair on the other teams. While it's permitted, I don't think it enters the spirit of the competition. So let's see you putting in a team for the rest of the series when we get into season 3 and not just rocking up for the wildcard final. But a fantastic performance by Beach Stars. You know, I'm not knocking them. They put in some absolutely stunning performances. You can see the 6 riders here all going to the finish. So they're a very strong team, a very well-drilled team. And we should be seeing them in the league. We shouldn't be seeing them as just wildcard entry. So that's my only bugbear here. They easily take the win for the fastest time, and they easily take the win for the wildcard final. And there you have it, folks. That's the 8 teams all gone through. It's been an amazing series. I, for one, have really enjoyed it. And I'll be back to cover season 3 in September. September the 4th, I think we kick that off. So thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. It helps to grow the channel, and I think you'll agree I put in an awful lot of work for these videos. So if you can like and subscribe and help me grow, I'd much appreciate it. Bye for now. Stay safe. See you later.